In my opinion, I just don't like PLSX as the exchange right now because they don't have limit orders. It's like super niche exchange. I don't know. I mean, I think Richard's just slow playing it, so like there's hype down the road, obviously, but it's still kind of gross in my opinion. You build something for 3 years or 2 years, and you had features that you're not implementing now because you can kind of market manipulate by not releasing the features. I mean, I'd rather just bridge everything back to Ethereum where you have limit orders.
To me, it's just game theory. In my opinion, I don't think people should overthink things because, if the community speaks loud enough, he's not going to want to lose his community. And I do think he wants to reward community. I just think we're in here looking at the price every day, looking at every single last little tweet, gossiping on every little thing. I don't think he's just going to leave it as is and keep it going. I would say just give it time, let things play out. And then voice opinion too early, it's almost not the good thing. It's almost like, you see a news event, someone got shot by, cops or something happened and you make your opinion and your voice like right away. This is what happened. Let the situation play out. And let's get the information first. Let Pulsechain breathe a little bit. It's only been 2 months. And then go from there. Because he's playing a game just like all those other people playing game. It's chess. And I think he is aware of what is going on, if anything is going on. So he's probably already aware of what you said. So, why reward those people? So it's just one of those things that, just let it play out. And I do think there's a little more game theory to this than we're all seeing. So that's my thoughts.
Yeah, 100%. I'm just, I was in the hype cycle of like Richard Hart being like making something awesome all the time, having that 100% uptime, and like, I don't know, not having bugs. If that bug would have been in any other ecosystem, Richard Hart would have been tweeting his face off for like a whole week about it. But now the community that it's not a bug, it's a feature, and I'm just like, bro, that's disgusting. Stop it.
You are correct. And I do agree with you on that one. Some of the hypocrisies out there, but he is human too. So trust me, I'm not the person that's gonna like stick up for him just say because he's Richard Hart. Like I'm the last person. I literally just made a tweet about it. He said he doesn't delete tweets, and he's been deleting tweets lately. So like I'm not gonna not say he's the best man in the world, but there are, like Buck said, this shit's not easy, and there is game theory amongst all of this. So just sit back, let it play out. If price goes up, you will not care about single size staking. I promise you that. So if price doesn't go up over the bull market and it sits here, then I'm gonna be right there complaining with you because I'd be like, man, single size staking, none of that shit came through. But I promise you, if price goes up to bucks 10x. 50x, actually my 100x, when price goes up to my 100x, you are going to be not caring one bit about single size staking.
And it can, by the way, like if Pulse is gonna do that, then Pulsex is gonna go right with it.
Yeah,
and you won't you will not give a fuck. No. Honestly, like I think a lot of people think all these little things matter. They don't matter. The only thing that matters is that this is the dominant the dominant DEX on this L1, and it always will be. So, I don't worry about it.
I hear you 100%.
If people, I'll just end it with this. If people want to, are upset about it and it's a problem, well, solve the problem, build something, and take away that money and that volume and make yours the number one DEX if that's what you want to do. So Al Campino, if you think it's that big of an issue, then where there's an issue, there's something to be solved. So, there you go. But I do think it's just game theory. So Richard, many maxi hexagons were blocking people. They didn't want them. They don't care about them. You're not like me. I'm out of here. So to see what Richard is doing, he's actually opening himself up to those people that are different from him to maybe bring them in. And maybe that's a better way to do it because he did that with Hex. So when you say that, hey, he went different from how he did, I don't necessarily think he's changed how he's bringing more people in. He's just doing it all over again and just starting the cycle all over again and how he did it. So I think a lot of people are forgetting that. So you can look at him as doing, let's just say, trust me, I am not saying this, but if you compare it to if you want to compare religion, how Jesus went out and brought people to the Christianity religion, he went out and he actually went out and got to those people and let his word be done to be able to bring people in to God. Whereas on the crypto side, right now, there's a lot of traders, there's a lot of bad things going on with Ethereum, and he needs to increase the amount of people that come to his platform. So him opening up to others and saying, hey, I'm doing this I'm doing this, I'm helping you out. I'm making it better for you. It's actually cheaper to be over here. Come over here. And then when you're over here, it's, hey, let me teach you about something. That's a possibility of what's going on. So both scenarios, the question is, which scenario is going to be the right one that ends up winning?
Yeah, definitely. I totally agree. And I just look at it. There's a scripture that says, "Be all things to all nations," right? And so, if you want people to have a heart and idea for things, you kind of have to meet them where they're at. And there's also going to be a time and place for all things too. And so you have to kind of balance between the two. It's like you want to be all things to all nations, but at the same time, you want to protect people and make sure that you don't get so consumed by their way of living that you don't help them to live better. And so time and place for those things is important too. You know, like you're saying, like maybe adoption requires we reach out to those other communities, but once they get in, then you help them see something else that's even better than what they understood previously. And but yeah, it's super cool. I'm just I appreciate your guys' feedback. I learned a lot here. I'm excited about also just what's going to happen. I'm just kind of seeing Ethereum's gas prices. You know, all they need to do is maybe 2 or 3x, and then people start feeling the pain and wanting to find another place to live. And so that's exciting too.
I don't think it's a 2 or 3x. I think people come over once the $200 and $300 price point becomes the norm. I don't think this is an issue. I don't think $50 is an issue. I don't think $80 is an issue. When I started complaining at like $300, $400. So when that becomes a norm, which it will happen again, and it will happen a lot faster, because all that needs to be done is the price of Ethereum goes up, and therefore that price goes up. That's when people start searching. So I think a 3x in gas prices from where we're at now. I think I did a swap the other day for like $12. So a $36 to $50 swap, I could care less. But when you know, 4 or 5 that's a price. That's a pricey meme coin. You better really believe in it.
Right. My group of guys, we got like maybe 30 plus people, and I'm already seeing, you know, they just gripe all the time about dollar fees, you know. So, you know, I'm just some of these guys have been around for a few years now, and they're still complaining.
Yeah. No, you get it. Everybody has a price. Everybody's got a price. You will complain at some price point. So that's a fact for sure.
Yeah.
Had I known, the amount of coins that were going to be kind of created in Pulse, I probably would not have sacrificed. Right, I probably would have waited, came in at with the same amount of money, and actually would be in a better position. But with that being said, okay, so I'm very bullish on liquid loans. I'm one of the major sacrifices. One of the things that I heard was that they're going to have 5 trillion coins, right? And when I heard 5 trillion, I was like, with a capital T or with a lowercase t, right? So what are your thoughts on a product that raised 50 million coming out and printing 5 trillion coins? What are your thoughts on that? Is that a good or a bad thing? And I'm asking because I honestly don't know. I'm kind of leaning on it might be a bad thing, but then again, I've only been in crypto since 2021, so I'm not like a real crypto investor.
So let me give you the history of what you're about to say, and then I'll wrap it up all to your answer. Back in 2015, 2016, 2017, the narrative was the less coins you have, the more bullish it was. And what it was the less coins you have, the more volatile the coin was. That was the situation. Why? Because there's less coins on the market. That doesn't necessarily say that is the way to go, but that's how people just thought. Hey, there's less coins, it goes up higher in price, it makes it more bullish. That's the mindset that you're thinking. Comes to it, it doesn't even matter because it's all about the percentage. How much of the percentage do people hold? So that's the one thing that I've noticed, like, for example, SHIB, Dogecoin's one of them, but it's inflationary. So the best case scenario that I can give you that you probably recognize is SHIB. What I want you to do is I want you to go on Etherscan and look at the wallets. There are hundreds of billions of coins, if not trillions of coins in SHIB. So what that tells you is when you look at the top 10, like top 100, you'll see that no one owns 1% of supply. And that's what matters the most. Percentage of supply that an individual can dump on you. It doesn't matter how many coins you have. It's how much percentage of that supply that you have that would make it bearish. So circulating supply does not matter unless there is a low circulating supply and a high total supply. What that tells you is that coins are going to be either airdropped or VC companies are going to be getting their coins and inflating on you at the price that you got it at. That's when it matters to the negative side. But if all the coins are out there, what I would want to do is look at the supply and who's holding the supply. Pulsechain, you shouldn't care. Why? Because there's a history that the OA does not sell coins. So you see 135 trillion coins, the OA owns roughly 90% of them and he doesn't sell. So now there's 10% of the supply out there to share that is also getting burned for each transaction. That is bullish. The amount that is out there, in my opinion, is not an issue because 90% of it is tied up and has a history of not selling.
Would that apply? Do you? Cause it seems like you're bullish on liquid loans. Also, would you say that apply to liquid loans as well?
I would have to see the supply and run the numbers of how much has been sacrificed, and also who sacrificed the most and who's getting that supply. Is there an OA with that? There's a lot of things that's going to go with that. So I would have to look at those numbers to say that. If they have 5 trillion coins and they have an OA that holds a certain amount of it, and they're going to try to copy that off of the Hexen Pulsechain style, then maybe you shouldn't be as bearish on it. But if it's all evened out and it's all about the percentage of what people own. What that owns 5% and I see them selling, it's probably not going to be bullish for a while because they're probably just going to be selling on your head. But if I see a 5% wallet that hasn't sold in 2 or 3 years, probably a good whale. So it's all relative to who owns what and what their actual motives are.
To me, it doesn't matter whatsoever. The percentages are what matters, as Beard said. The valuation is what matters, but some people like owning large numbers of coins. It makes them feel better when they're buying it. And yeah, like what he said about it being more volatile, it looks more volatile. The volatility is actually probably not impacted by it, but it just appears to be more volatile because you see, this thing going up, 50 cents, 60 cents, 70 cents, whereas when it's 0.00004, you don't really see it as much, right? It's something about it, the way the mind works.
And I can tell you this, for being in the beginning of SHIB and having 10 zeros when I got into it, the one thing that was fun to do is to cheer on and see zeros get knocked off because each zero was a 10x from where you're currently at. So that is like when he says bias, it's also the fact that you've got a bunch of coins, but it's also the fact that zeros are getting knocked off, and it's pretty damn cool to see, to witness as the bull market happens.
But when you look at your portfolio, how are you really grading what crypto won't survive or vulnerable to regulation? And are you removing those from your crypto portfolio?
I am into the idea that we've got one, maybe two Wild West crypto crazy gains cycles left in us. I am not in a fan that I think once regulation comes, so the gains leave. It becomes like gold. Gold was just going crazy, and then once regulation came, it chilled out. And that's how I feel it will be with Bitcoin. And if it happens with Bitcoin, it's going to happen with the whole space. I don't think regulation is here yet. I don't think it will come this cycle, but does it happen in the bear market of this cycle, or does it happen to the bull market or bear market of the next cycle? That is to be played. But what I do, and I teach this in the law of meme coins, once again, because it pretty much answers your question, is regulation is slow. Crypto is extremely fast. So there is nothing in my portfolio that's had a previous cycle. Once you've had your previous cycle and your previous talks and everyone knows about you, that's when regulation comes. So actually the only one I do have in my portfolio, I do have Hex in my portfolio. So that is kind of a risk when I say something like that. And it has passed the risk measure as far as regulation goes with the SEC. But for the most part, I'm all about the first cycle coin for two reasons. Number one, it ain't gonna get regulated right off the bat. Nothing ever does. And then number two, that's where you get the most gains. It's new, it's fresh, and that's what happens. And then I cycle my money into the next first cycle coin. And then I cycle my money, and I literally keep rinsing, repeating. That's been my game plan for the last, once I found out that coins go into the top 10 and then disappear and never come back. And if they do go back, they go up 3.5x over their all-time high, which is ranging anywhere from 75 to 100x after the 85 to 95% drop. Well, I see coins doing 1,000x, 5,000x, 10,000x. So I'm more of a high-risk individual. So I will go into those before I go into anything else. And XRP witnessed that. It got regulated. They got, hit by the SEC. What happened to the gains? It went away. And everyone else got in the SEC, they want to fight it, your gains are going to go away. So if just as Famous said earlier, he thinks that BNB goes sideways, I think it does too, if they decide to want to fight the SEC and go the same route as what XRP did. Congratulations on your sideways market for the bull market. So I eliminate that and just try to go for the first cycle coins. That's just my game plan.
On BSC, I don't think it goes sideways so much as I think its market share doesn't increase or go sideways. Is sort of what I was saying. I think it still goes up. Most things still go up, but they don't. Like you said, they fall out of the top 10, which is saying basically their market share decreases. Right. So in terms of things that I'm worried about for regulatory stuff, anything that's stable coins related, I think is something that's likely to be a big target. Especially the fractionally reserved ones after Terra Luna. That sort of thing. I think they're going to be very. There's sort of systemic financial risk involved in that. So I worry a little bit about them attacking stablecoin providers, USDT, partially because they're outside of the system. They'll have a target on their back forever because of that. And I would imagine the long arm of Uncle Sam would probably like to put a stop to that at some point. But having said that, we've been waiting for that to happen to USDT since 2017, and they've proven to be remarkably resilient. So I do worry about that for them. Binance, obviously, I think Uncle Sam's gunning for them as well. In terms of the regulation stuff, I don't actually think it's a bad thing for a price. What I see is that they saw all these yahoos like Sam, SBF, Mashinsky with the shadow banks like Celsius and BlockFi all fail in this last cycle after the Terra Luna meltdown. So they're basically just going to go round up all these people and basically give them proper compliance and things like that. And what they're more likely to do, though, is entice Wall Street to get involved properly. So you'll start to actually see the major firms like BlackRock and State Street and whatnot get involved. And I think that's actually very bullish for crypto prices because basically that's the thing that stops the real big end of town from investing in crypto is that they can't quite get comfortable because they can't trust their counterparties, right? So you could have been a crypto hedge fund doing really well. But if FTX goes bankrupt and you lose everything, you're fucked, right? Because that's where you might be trading, right? So I think all that regulatory stuff's actually kind of bullish in a sense. So once we do get all those big boys, involved. They have trillion-dollar balance sheets. They're systemic in nature. They're too big to fail, and they, so people can feel comfortable putting money through them. And when they get involved in crypto, you're going to really notice it because it's all going to rip your face off. So I agree with what B-Root said. You're going to have maybe one, maybe two kind of Wild West cycles. This is how the West gets tamed, right? But it's going to be a lot of fun when this happens, because you're going to see everything just go up a ton, because that's when they can actually start to put many billions of dollars into this stuff. So I actually think it's going to be fine. For us on Pulsechain, I don't think anyone gives a fuck about us. Like, they've got better things to do than go after Pulsechain products. We're just not significant enough. I mean, Richard kind of made himself a big target being so flamboyant, and you see he's corrected that behavior by basically going dark for the last 6 months. So I don't worry about it.
I think the only thing, like you said, USDT, the only thing that would affect Pulsechain, and if it does happen, I do think that the government is smart enough to do it during a bear market, because I do think they are in these plays just as much as we're starting to see. So it would happen during a bear market. Why I preach take profits all the time. But if it is USDT, that will affect a lot of people, including DAI, because a big portion of the bag of USDT of DAI, I believe, is USDT. So that would have an effect. But I don't think that happens during a bull market. Like, I personally think they gotta be careful, because you don't want to. I don't want to say too big to fail, but you don't want to be the one ruining something that's could be big in the future, and you end up ruining other stuff trying to go after one thing.
Well, especially once you got JP Morgan and BlackRock and all these other guys, hiring people and, making money off of it, like, then they're definitely not going to ruin it. I actually think it's going to become very well accepted. And also, young people are super into crypto. And as they get more politically engaged and whatnot, they're going to make a pretty good case for, like, it's not going to make political sense to come and kill crypto. So I don't know. I don't worry about Gary. Like, I think he's he's got a bit of egg on his face because of the FTX thing, so that he has to play sheriff. But the guy is a former Goldman Sachs partner. He likes making money. He's a capitalist. I know this type of person very well, and their job is not to fall in love with an asset. Their job is to make money off of capitalism, right? These guys are major capitalists. So in general, I think they're going to be fine with crypto. They just want to make sure they make some money off of it. That type of person. So it's gonna be fine. I don't worry about regulation too much. I look at it as a good thing.